Hello and welcome to Legal Connect on iBrandTV. My name is Bernard Joseph, and here on the program we look at all of the issues playing out in society and we try to address all of those issues from the legal perspective. We bring in legal practitioners to help us better put the issues in context. And on today's episode of the program we look at e-commerce in Nigeria and its legal framework. Of course, we have a legal practitioner in the studio today to join us and help us better put the issues in perspective. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll dive right straight into the issues. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Legal Connect on iBrandTV. My name is Bernard Joseph, and on this program, earlier mentioned, we look at all of the issues playing out in society and try to address all of them from a legal perspective. Today, we look at e-commerce in Nigeria and understanding its legal framework. Joining me now in the studio is legal practitioner Adedoyin Fadare. He is the Assistant General Secretary of the Intellectual Property Law Association of Nigeria and an associate at the Alliance Law Firm. Adedoyin, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. And we're looking at e-commerce in Nigeria and understanding its legal framework. E-commerce, it's today's reality where trade can also be performed online. But I would like us to begin the conversation by understanding what e-commerce is and what e-commerce is not, especially from the legal perspective. I would like us to pick up the conversation from there.
All right, thank you, Joseph. Thank you for having me here. And it's a pleasure to speak on this riveting issue of e-commerce and what the legal framework is and what it's not, and how consumers can actually navigate through this path. First off, e-commerce basically is the trading of goods and services online in the cyberspace. Basically, I'll put it that e-commerce is not the trading of the internet. If it's not on the internet, it's not e-commerce, basically. So we have e-commerce as the trading of goods and services online via electronic platforms and via digital platforms, which connects producers, manufacturers with the end users and consumers of such a product or service. And when we come to Nigeria, the concept of e-commerce is something that is thriving, is something that is gaining momentum, is something that is actually increasing the scope of the SME. When we talk about e-commerce, e-commerce is actually helping the Nigeria's GDP output. Nigeria is already gaining more from it. To put into perspective, over the last years, it has been projected that the e-commerce sector contributes at least $12 billion to the GDP, and it's projected that in the next few years, annually to 2025, that it will result into $75 billion. Contribute $75 billion to the GDP of the Nigerian economy. That's to mention that e-commerce is a thriving sector. And you put it, how would I put it, like to further buttress my point, this year has been a tough one for every one of us. It has been a year. It has been a year of several challenges, and I use this medium to pray for those who have departed due to the pandemic. But to address my point, the advent of COVID-19 saw the upsurge
Of e-commerce
in Nigeria. It saw the need for it. It saw that Nigeria actually needed to fill up this space. You find that e-commerce enables a lot of things thrive. It enables producers, it enables distributors, and you find out that all of a sudden in Nigeria we started hearing of logistics company, dispatch riders. All of these are a consequence of e-commerce. They give people, they connect people to their livelihood. In turn, these people contribute to the GDP. So basically, I know and I'm quite certain that e-commerce is here to stay in Nigeria, and I don't see it reclining in
anytime
future
soon.
years.
Then again, let's talk about the cyberspace as a recognized legal market. Now we know e-commerce has come to stay and trade is playing out and happening online. But the cyberspace, is it a legal, does it meet the standards of a legal market?
Basically, what's a market? A place where people come together to transact business, to either to purchase or to sell. So basically, the reality now is that the internet, the cyberspace, has become the norm. It has become what we are used to. It has become part of our daily lives. We can't remove the internet, we can't remove the cyberspace from our current realities.
But how about
Yes.
contracts? How about the contracts
Yes,
that play
I'm still
there?
going. I'm still going there. So the reality now is that we have, if the internet, if the cyberspace is part of our realities, you find out that the fallout of that is people transacting. People conduct businesses. People do one business or the other together. That you find out that that's contracting on the cyberspace. Now, has it become legal? Is it something that should be worthwhile? That's the question. And I'll put it in the affirmative. Yes, it is. You find out that several international regulations, several laws have come to realize this fact, have come to understand that the cyberspace, the internet, is a viable tool to transact business. So to give credence to that, I would mention that the United Nations Conventions, which regulates electronic communications, international contracts, yes, of course, it gives credence to the fact that we can now transact businesses online. So if we're having this fear of, should I proceed on this transaction, I must say, please proceed, because the reality now is that nations, states are beginning to come to terms that the cyberspace is safe for conducting such transactions.
Now, but all of the contracts that happen online,
Yes.
we know that the regular contracts have to meet certain standards. Now, when you bring those contracts playing out online, those contracts happening online, do they meet the standards of the regular contracts that we know, which often has to do with offer, acceptance, and those kinds of things? How are you able to help us put that in perspective to understand that the regular contract that we know and what's playing out online, the contract happening online, is as legal as the regular contract that we understand?
Okay, it's not far-fetched. You find out that traditionally we have principles which regulate contracts. As you've mentioned some of them, you've mentioned offer, you've mentioned acceptance. But I must mention that that's not
all of it.
All of it. Having an offer and acceptance doesn't actually give you the right to say you have a valid contract. You would have things like, you have principles of offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relationship, and capacity. Now, we understand offer, the act of a party suggesting to another party to take up some form of interest from the other party. And acceptance is actually conceding and receiving such interest. Now, when we come to the angle of consideration, the law is that you must give up something for something. So if I'm going to purchase some item online, there must be some consideration. And in the regular parlance, it's money. There must be some form of exchange. And the intention to create legal relation, we understand that if I'm trying to purchase something from you, I know that I'm trying to convert ownership, I'm trying to convert possession, and we must do so in a legal way. So the act of going online to purchase something, you know that you are trying to create some legal relationship, and that angle is capacity. Now, I'm still going to juxtapose with the reality. Traditionally, I giving you my contract to sign physically. So when we take it to the e-commerce parlance, is there a difference? Is there something we should be bothered about? Are there any loopholes? What should consumers be particular about? Now, consumers need to be aware that when e-commerce platforms we have in Nigeria, for example, we have Jumia, we have Konga, just to put in perspective for us to understand. if such e-commerce site places a product on their website, it's important that consumers know that that action is not an offer. It's an invitation to treat. That is, it's for the consumer to make the offer to the e-commerce site.
So online trading,
yes,
it's the consumer making the offer, all right, and then the online platforms now have to accept the offer. Well, that's fine. We'll have to look at all of that more into context and talk about the possibility of a breach of contract and how to address all of that. We'd like to take the conversation up from there, but of course we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation. You've been watching Legal Connect on iBrandTV. We're talking about e-commerce in Nigeria and understanding its legal framework. And with me in the studio is legal practitioner Adedoyin Fadere, helping to put the issues in context and in perspective. We will return from the break and we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us and go nowhere.
Welcome to iBrandTV, where we bring you
quality news and programs
round the clock
in politics and global news,
in entertainment, fashion, and lifestyle,
in business news and analysis,
in sports.
At iBrandTV, we wish you
a Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.
iBrandTV, quality news on TV.